As humanity ventured into the unknown reaches of space, astronauts not only faced the challenges of survival and exploration, but also encountered unexplained phenomena that remain shrouded in mystery. Two such incidents, one involving the Apollo 10 crew and another involving China's first astronaut, offer eerie glimpses into the strangeness of space. In May 1969, just 2 months before the historic Apollo 11 moon landing, the Apollo 10 mission served as a dress rehearsal. Commanded by Tom Stafford, with John Young and Eugene Cernan aboard, the mission successfully tested the lunar module in the moon's orbit. But while orbiting the far side of the moon, where communication with Earth is completely cut off, the crew encountered something unsettling. An eerie whistling, or space music as the astronauts described it, filled their headsets during the hour they were out of contact with mission control. The sound was so strange that the crew debated whether to report it upon their return. After all, they didn't want to be labeled as the astronauts who heard space music on the dark side of the moon.
Boy, that sure is weird music. Boy, it got quiet, didn't it?
Please don't believe it. Nobody.
That didn't music even sound outer spacey, didn't it? You hear that? That whistling sound? Boy, that sure is weird music.
Please don't believe it. Nobody.
Boy, it got quiet, didn't it?
Years later, NASA declassified the audio recordings, sparking public intrigue. The agency eventually attributed the sounds to radio interference between the lunar module and command module. However, not everyone was convinced by this explanation. The incident remains one of the most peculiar and unsettling moments in the history of space exploration. Fast forward to 2003, when China successfully launched its first manned space mission, Shenzhou 5. Astronaut Yang Liwei made history as China's first astronaut to enter space. But during his mission, Yang encountered something that left him deeply unnerved. While orbiting Earth, Yang reported hearing a strange knocking sound, like someone banging on the body of the spacecraft. The sound, which seemed to come from the outside, was unlike anything he had ever heard before. It wasn't mechanical, and there was no apparent source for the noise. It sounded as if someone was knocking on the body of the spaceship, just as knocking an iron bucket with a wooden hammer. Yang tried to locate the source of the sound, but it remained a mystery. Even after returning to Earth and consulting with engineers, no explanation was found. The sound wasn't an isolated incident. Other Chinese astronauts have reported hearing similar knocks during subsequent missions, further deepening the mystery. Space is supposed to be silent, a vast vacuum where no sound can travel. So what were these knocks? Were they the result of some unknown space phenomenon, or perhaps something even more mysterious? The truth remains elusive. These unexplained auditory experiences have fueled a range of theories, from mundane explanations like thermal expansion of spacecraft components, to more speculative ideas involving extraterrestrial life or otherworldly dimensions. Some suggest that the vast emptiness of space might play tricks on the human mind, or that these sounds are indicators of phenomena we are not yet able to understand. Space is filled with mysteries, some we can explain, and others that continue to defy our understanding. As we continue to explore the final frontier, these unexplained experiences remind us that space holds secrets that might be beyond our current comprehension.
At negative, Butch, we did not hear anything. All right, Butch, that one came through. It was kind of like a pulsing noise, almost like a sonar ping.
Yeah, I'll do it one more time, and I'll let y'all scratch your heads and see if you can figure out what's going on. Here we go.
July 20th, 1969, Apollo 11 makes history as Neil Armstrong becomes the first human to step onto the moon. But what if that small step for man uncovered a truth so shocking that it was buried in secrecy? What if the moon landing wasn't just about exploration, but also about confronting an eerie reality already in place? While the world watched the live broadcast in awe, conspiracy theories suggest that Armstrong and his team encountered more than just lunar dust and rocks. Some speculate that the Apollo 11 astronauts stumbled upon a chilling discovery: a deceased Russian cosmonaut, evidence of earlier and secretive Soviet missions that ended in tragedy. According to these theories, the body of the cosmonaut was found near a crash site, a stark reminder of the Cold War's unrelenting space race. But the implications didn't stop there. Some suggest this discovery was quickly covered up to avoid an international crisis and to keep the space race narrative intact. Yet, the theories only get darker. Another claim posits that Armstrong and Aldrin may have encountered evidence of a long-forgotten lunar society, an ancient civilization, or even an extraterrestrial base hidden in the moon's craters. Reports of strange structures and unexplainable lights on the moon's surface have fueled this speculation. It's said that Armstrong's secret transmission to NASA included descriptions of these mysterious entities, watching them from the edge of a crater. These beings, whether alien or ancient, were allegedly not pleased with the human presence.
During the lunar mission, while Neil and Buzz were on the lunar surface, back at the Johnson Space Center, during a couple minutes of broken communication, Neil switched over to medical channel to speak directly with the chief medical officer of the mission. And at that, the comment was, he says, "They're here, they're parked around the rim of the crater, and they're watching us."
Upon his return to Earth, Armstrong was celebrated as a hero, but some who knew him noticed a change. According to certain sources, Armstrong became more reserved, more distant, and some have speculated that he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, due to the unspoken horrors he witnessed on the moon. Did Armstrong take these dark secrets to his grave? His reluctance to speak publicly about the moon landing in later years has only added to the mystery. Some believe that whatever he saw during that historic mission haunted him for the rest of his life. Then, in 1976, Armstrong embarked on another enigmatic journey, this time to the Taos Caves in the Ecuadorian jungle. The secrecy surrounding this expedition, combined with Armstrong's involvement, has led some to believe that the mission was connected to what he may have discovered on the moon. Was he searching for answers, or perhaps even more disturbing truths? Some claim that the Taos Caves could contain evidence of ancient extraterrestrial contact or advanced technologies lost to time. Armstrong's involvement in this mission only deepens the enigma. Was he trying to connect the dots between the secrets of the moon and those hidden on Earth? To this day, the full truth of what Neil Armstrong experienced on the moon and later in the Ecuadorian jungle remains shrouded in mystery. Did he witness something that defied explanation? And if so, what could be so terrifying that it drove one of humanity's greatest heroes into silence? Did Neil Armstrong uncover secrets too dangerous to share? What was he searching for in the jungles of Ecuador? The answers may remain hidden, but the questions will continue to captivate us all. We take you deep into the desert of Utah, to a place known as Skinwalker Ranch, where strange and terrifying phenomena defy explanation. For decades, it's been the epicenter of bizarre sightings, UFOs, mysterious creatures, and phenomena that challenge our understanding of science. This isn't just folklore. From Navajo legend to modern-day investigations, Skinwalker Ranch has earned its reputation as one of the most mysterious places on Earth. But what's really happening here? Let's begin with the legends that gave this place its chilling name. The Ute tribe has long believed the area surrounding the ranch is cursed, haunted by skinwalkers, shape-shifting witches who can transform into animals and possess supernatural powers. These creatures are said to stalk the land, bringing terror to anyone who crosses their path. For centuries, the tribe avoided this land, but in the 1990s, the Sherman family, unaware of these warnings, purchased the ranch. What followed was a series of events so bizarre, it would leave them fleeing for their lives. Terry and Gwen Sherman moved to the ranch, hoping for a peaceful life. Instead, they found themselves trapped in a waking nightmare. The couple reported seeing mysterious lights in the sky, hearing strange voices, and witnessing their livestock being mutilated in horrifying ways. One of the most terrifying encounters happened just weeks after they moved in. The Shermans claimed to have seen an enormous wolf, larger than any they had ever seen, approach their cattle. They shot at it, but the creature didn't flinch. It vanished, leaving behind no trace except for a lingering sense of dread. It wasn't long before the strange events at Skinwalker Ranch became regular occurrences. Glowing orbs of light would appear, often chasing or hovering over the Shermans' cattle. Researchers and visitors alike have witnessed unidentified flying objects in broad daylight, or more often during the quiet of night. And then there were the cattle mutilations. The Shermans found their livestock surgically mutilated, organs removed with precision, no blood, no signs of struggle. Experts called in to investigate were left baffled. The cuts were so clean, they seemed to suggest the use of advanced technology. Beyond the physical phenomena, there were also recurring electromagnetic anomalies. Instruments would malfunction, GPS signals would fail, and compasses would spin wildly out of control. Even the ground seemed to emit strange readings, strong magnetic fields that would shift without warning. Terry Sherman also recounted how radio signals would be disrupted, as though an unseen force was blocking communication. Many believe these electromagnetic disturbances could be linked to the other anomalies witnessed on the ranch. The ranch became so infamous that it caught the attention of the US government. In 2007, under a Pentagon-funded program known as Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, AATIP, a subproject called BASS was launched to study the phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch. It wasn't just about UFOs, but anomalies that defied both logic and science. Scientists involved in the project reported disturbing trends: equipment failure when in proximity to sightings, mysterious injuries, and at times, an overwhelming sense of dread. One researcher even claimed to have seen a wormhole-like phenomenon in the sky, through which an unknown craft emerged and vanished. One of the most extraordinary theories that emerged is that Skinwalker Ranch may be a portal, a gateway between dimensions, allowing entities, creatures, and craft from other realities to slip through. Witnesses have described beams of light appearing in the sky, opening into what looks like another world. Whether it's a portal to another dimension or a zone of intense magnetic disturbance, the phenomena continue to puzzle experts. Today, Skinwalker Ranch remains under constant study, with teams monitoring every inch of the land in hopes of discovering the cause of these recurring anomalies. Under the ownership of real estate tycoon Brandon Fugel, cutting-edge technology is deployed to document any strange activity. Despite these efforts, the ranch continues to baffle and terrify. From UFO sightings to electromagnetic disturbances, from mysterious creatures to unexplainable cattle mutilations. Skinwalker Ranch is a place where the known world and the unknown collide. Will we ever uncover the truth behind these phenomena? Or are some mysteries meant to remain unsolved? Sometimes the strangest stories aren't science fiction. They're happening right now. Flickering lights, silent shadows, and advanced technology that no one wants to take credit for. We're exploring the mystery of modern drone sightings and a theory that connects them to something even darker: the Blue Beam Conspiracy. This is the story of objects too advanced for commercial use, too secretive for governments to admit, and too coordinated to be dismissed as mere hobbyists. From the skies over Colorado to whispers of secret corporate experiments, what's happening above us is as puzzling as it is unnerving. Bright lights, silent movement, and no answers. Over the past few weeks, New Jersey and its surrounding areas have been gripped by panic. Mysterious drones, large, coordinated, and unsettlingly advanced, have been appearing in the night sky, leaving residents and experts alike asking, who's behind this and what do they want? Residents are worried and confused. These aren't hobby drones. Some of these objects are 6 feet wide, flying in synchronized patterns. Local authorities and the FAA say they're investigating, but so far no one is taking credit. It's a story we've heard before. Back in December 2019, similar drone sightings struck rural Colorado and Nebraska. Witnesses reported swarms of large drones flying in grids. It's like they're mapping something, said one resident. But despite weeks of investigation, law enforcement, military, and federal officials denied any involvement.
These are not U.S. military drones.
But what makes the New Jersey sightings even stranger is how closely they align with an infamous theory: a theory that conspiracy circles claim may hold the answers. Enter the Blue Beam Conspiracy. The Blue Beam Conspiracy is one of the most shadowy legends of modern times. The theory suggests that these high-tech drone swarms are no accident. Instead, they're part of a secret initiative to surveil key resources, industries, and even populations. Believers allege that Blue Beam has deep ties to both government and private corporations. The theory claims these drone swarms are collecting data, mapping everything from farmland to infrastructure, and that the information could be sold to undisclosed clients. They're testing something. I don't know what, but it's not for public use, claimed a whistleblower from a past drone incident. If true, New Jersey could just be the next step in a much bigger operation. Here's what we know. Advanced aerial phenomena are not new. In 2021, the Pentagon released a report acknowledging unidentified objects in U.S. airspace, some of which were drones, likely of foreign or experimental origin. Yet, the report left more questions than answers. Consider this. In 2019, swarms of unidentified drones were spotted hovering near U.S. Navy warships off the coast of California. And it's not just happening over water. Similar drones have appeared near nuclear missile silos and critical power grids across the United States. New Jersey sits close to sensitive infrastructure, including airports, refineries, and shipping hubs. Could these sightings be tied to foreign surveillance? Or could they be testing grounds for a new technology, one that's already far beyond public understanding? At the same time, the commercial drone industry is booming. Amazon, Google, and other corporations are developing advanced drones for deliveries, surveillance, and data collection. But this technology raises an uncomfortable question. Who's keeping tabs on it? Some theorists argue that the New Jersey drones aren't just stray tech. Instead, they could be connected to corporate espionage, secretly mapping the area to track energy grids, infrastructure, or natural resources. If true, this represents an unprecedented breach of public trust. New Jersey isn't alone. Across the world, drone sightings are on the rise.
I can literally only see
they look like balls. That sounds really weird. They look like, like a shape of a ball. That's what they look like now.
I can literally only see that one.
They've gone smaller.
They were massive. I can't zoom in on it anymore.
They've gone all the way over there now.
I've lost it.
I can see one of them, but it's getting further away.
Oh.
In China, swarms of unidentified drones have hovered over critical infrastructure. In Europe, drones were spotted near power plants, and in Australia, mining fields, rich in resources, reported coordinated drone activity. While some dismiss these events as unrelated, others see a global pattern. Whether it's espionage, corporate greed, or something else entirely, the technology seems too advanced, too deliberate, to be a coincidence. Of course, not everyone believes drones are the full story. Some point to their uncanny characteristics: silent movement, advanced formation, and an eerie lack of accountability. Could drones be a cover for something more unexplainable, something extraterrestrial? It's a stretch for some, but believers point to recent disclosures about unidentified aerial phenomena as proof that we still don't know everything about what's in our skies. So what's behind the drone sightings in New Jersey? Are they cutting-edge surveillance tools, corporate experiments, or something more covert? And where does the Blue Beam conspiracy fit into it all? If the drones are part of an operation to find a dirty bomb or potential credible nuclear threat, that begs the question: who is watching the watchers? As we look to the skies, the truth remains elusive. What we do know is this: the drones are here, and whoever is behind them doesn't want us to know why. In a world where the skies are no longer empty, one thing's for sure. Sometimes, the truth is harder to find than we think, and maybe, just maybe, it's already watching us. Staged events, clandestine experiments, aliens rising from the ocean, or just plain weird as fuck.
We're seeing 3 or 4 targets. They're all altitudes, up and down. It's pretty crazy.
We're not seeing anything, getting lots of different reports out there. Some at 30, some all the way up to 50,000, about 3 or 4 different lights. Does it look like they're around your altitude now?
No, there's one way up high and one about my altitude. Moving in like a circle, like a corkscrew pattern. Just had another one show up about my 1 o'clock, about 1,000 feet high, zipping towards us and then back out towards the ocean, and red in color, moving at extreme speed.
Roger. You are cleared to maneuver as necessary, left and right, to avoid the UFO out there.
I would remind you, we're at the beginning here, not the end. There's a lot more work to be done, and we're working closely with state and local authorities to gain more information. I would argue that we're moving pretty well here with a sense of energy to try to figure out what we can do to learn more about this.
I'm going to give you a report on drones about 1 day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable.
Say this, while we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor, you're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it.
During the height of the Cold War, when tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union were at an all-time high, both superpowers sought any advantage they could gain. In the shadows of conventional warfare, a secret program was born, one that aimed to harness the power of the human mind. This is the story of the Stargate Project. Officially known as the Stargate Project, this top-secret U.S. government initiative was a bold and controversial attempt to explore the potential of psychic phenomena for intelligence gathering. From 1978 to 1995, the CIA and the U.S. Army employed a group of individuals they believed possessed extraordinary abilities. Remote viewers who claimed they could see events, objects, or information from afar, using only the power of their minds. These remote viewers were tasked with uncovering the deepest secrets of America's enemies, particularly those of the Soviet Union. From locating hidden missile sites to tracking down hostages, the Stargate Project pushed the boundaries of what was believed possible. The results were often startling, sometimes eerily accurate, leading some to wonder if the human mind could indeed tap into a mysterious, unseen dimension. The project was not without its critics. Skeptics within the intelligence community questioned the reliability of the information gathered through remote viewing. Despite this, Stargate continued for nearly 2 decades, during which time it grew to encompass other psychic phenomena, including telepathy, precognition, and even the possibility of influencing distant events through sheer willpower. Among the most famous cases was the search for a missing Soviet submarine in 1979. Using remote viewers, the U.S. Navy reportedly identified the location of the sunken vessel, a feat that many found impossible to explain through conventional means. While some of these missions were successful, others were met with mixed results, casting a shadow of doubt over the program's effectiveness. In 1995, after years of debate, the Stargate project was officially terminated. The CIA declassified many of the program's documents, revealing a treasure trove of information about America's foray into the world of the paranormal. These files, now available to the public, offer a glimpse into a time when the U.S. government was willing to explore the extraordinary in the hopes of gaining an edge over its adversaries. To this day, the true extent of what was achieved under the Stargate project remains a topic of speculation and intrigue. Did the US government uncover real evidence of psychic abilities? Or was it all a desperate experiment born out of Cold War paranoia? The answer lies buried within the classified archives, waiting for those brave enough to seek the truth. As the years pass, the mysteries of the Stargate project continue to captivate those who dare to imagine the possibilities. What if the mind truly holds powers beyond our comprehension? And what secrets might still be locked away, hidden from public view? A lone gunman, no memory of pulling the trigger, no clear motive, just an eerie blank stare and a story that doesn't add up. We've seen it before: high-profile assassinations, lone wolves with no prior history of violence, and the unsettling question, could they have been programmed to kill? Mind control, hypnosis, psychological conditioning. It sounds like the plot of a political thriller, but what if it's real? What if governments, intelligence agencies, and secret programs have spent decades perfecting the art of creating the perfect assassin? This is the story of the Manchurian candidate, the theory that killers can be made, not born. The idea of a brainwashed assassin first entered public consciousness in 1959 with the novel The Manchurian Candidate, later adapted into a Hollywood thriller. The plot? A soldier, unknowingly programmed by enemy forces, is triggered to assassinate a political target without realizing what he's done. But was this just fiction, or a glimpse into something real? During the Cold War, the US government feared that the Soviets and Chinese had developed mind control techniques to create sleeper agents, killers who could be activated with a single phrase, a gesture, or a sound. The response? A secretive program designed to crack the code of the human mind. This brings us to one of the most infamous secret programs in US history, MK Ultra. Run by the CIA from the 1950s to the 1970s, it was an attempt to master psychological warfare, using drugs, hypnosis, and other extreme techniques to control the human mind. Some test subjects were unknowingly dosed with LSD, subjected to sleep deprivation, electroshock therapy, and bizarre conditioning techniques. The goal? To wipe away their sense of self and replace it with implanted commands. One declassified document revealed that the CIA was actively searching for ways to create a robot agent, a person who could be controlled without knowing it. And while official records claim MK Ultra was shut down, some believe the program simply went deeper underground. In 2012, British illusionist and psychological manipulator Darren Brown set out to answer a terrifying question. Could an ordinary person be hypnotized into assassinating someone without realizing it? In the experiment, Brown conditioned an unsuspecting participant over time, using subliminal cues, post-hypnotic suggestions, and psychological reinforcement. The result? The subject, under Brown's command, raised a gun and pulled the trigger, believing they were assassinating comedian Stephen Fry. Of course, the gun was loaded with blanks, but the implications were chilling. If one man could achieve this through television magic and psychology, what could a government with unlimited resources do? The idea of a programmed assassin isn't just a Cold War paranoia. It's a theory that resurfaces every time a political figure is gunned down by someone with no clear motive, no criminal past, and, sometimes, no memory of what they've done. Take Sirhan Sirhan, the man who killed Robert F. Kennedy in 1968. To this day, he claims he has no memory of the shooting. His lawyers argued that he had been hypnotically programmed. Strange? Maybe, but not unprecedented. Then there's Mark David Chapman, the man who shot John Lennon. He sat calmly, reading The Catcher in the Rye after the murder, as if in a trance. Was he simply disturbed? Or was there something more sinister at play? But here's where it gets even stranger. While we might think of mind control as hypnosis and trigger words, modern methods don't need a shadowy government lab. Today, the battlefield is digital. Social media, deepfake technology, and algorithm-driven psychological conditioning could be shaping people's actions in ways we don't even realize. In 2014, Facebook was caught running a secret psychological experiment on its users, manipulating their emotions by altering their news feeds. If an algorithm can make you feel happier or sadder without your awareness, What else could it do? Could it radicalize someone? Could it subtly push them toward violence? And if governments or private entities are weaponizing these techniques, how would we ever know? The question remains, have real-life Manchurian candidates already been created? Were assassins like Sirhan, Chapman, and others victims of a hidden hand, programmed to kill? Or are they just mentally unstable individuals whose cases conveniently fit the theory? And with today's advancements in neuroscience, psychology, and AI-driven manipulation, are we closer than ever to turning this conspiracy theory into reality? Mind control, political assassins, digital manipulation, staged shootings, psychological warfare, or just plain weird as fuck? One thing's for sure. When it comes to controlling the human mind, the possibilities are terrifying. And if the real Manchurian candidates are out there, we may never even know who they are. Some stories are almost too bizarre to be true. Genius, invention, control, and suppression. Today, we peel back the layers on a man who saw the future before anyone else dared to. Nikola Tesla, visionary, inventor, and perhaps an enemy of the establishment. This is the story of the man who dreamed of lighting up the world, wirelessly. A man who envisioned handheld communication devices, renewable energy, and a global power grid decades before they became reality. But behind the brilliance lies a shadowy web of obstruction, financial ruin, and unanswered questions. Nikola Tesla, a Serbian-American engineer and scientist, laid the foundations for much of today's world. But while his breakthroughs pushed society forward, his battles with powerful figures would leave him in financial ruin, isolated, and, some suspect, deliberately suppressed. Tesla's invention of alternating current, AC, was a revolution in how electricity could be produced and distributed, threatening a monopoly built by the inventor and powerhouse, Thomas Edison. And the battle that ensued would be more ruthless than Tesla could ever imagine. Edison was no ordinary rival. Backed by immense resources and a burgeoning media empire, he launched a smear campaign to discredit Tesla's AC system. Public demonstrations of animals being electrocuted were designed to instill fear. Edison's message was clear. Tesla's ideas were dangerous. But behind this theater, some say Edison feared AC's potential to democratize electricity, making power accessible and cheap for all. Despite the smear tactics, Tesla's alternating current prevailed, powering the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, and eventually becoming the standard for electrical systems worldwide. But was this more than a battle of science? Tesla's victory signaled a shift in power, one that didn't sit well with the establishment. Was this merely business rivalry, or was Tesla's system simply too accessible, too liberating for those with a vested interest in control? Tesla wasn't one to settle. After winning the battle over AC, he moved to his most daring concept yet: wireless, free energy for all. With a mysterious tower and an ambitious vision, he claimed he could transmit electricity through the air itself, connecting the entire world without wires. His vision? A world where electricity flowed through the air, accessible to everyone without wires or bills. With financial backing from J.P. Morgan, Tesla began building Wardenclyffe Tower, a bold design he believed would eliminate the need for wires and bring free energy to everyone. But just as the project gained momentum, Morgan pulled the plug. His infamous words still echo. If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter? Was this the moment the dream died? Some believe Morgan and other power moguls intervened to stop Tesla, fearing their monopoly would crumble if power couldn't be controlled, sold, and taxed. Did Tesla's wireless energy dream collapse under science? Or was it buried by powerful interests? Evidence is scarce, but the question of who stands to lose still hangs in the air. Was Morgan simply protecting his investment? Or was Tesla's dream a threat to an entire economic system built on controlling energy? Many believe the tower's failure wasn't due to bad science, but rather a calculated move by powerful interests to suppress a technology that would disrupt their stranglehold on the energy market. As Tesla aged, his eccentricities, his quirks, his intense focus on his work, led him into isolation. He was a man who claimed to talk with pigeons and spoke of fantastical, sometimes frightening technologies. When he died in 1943, he was alone, his life's work unfinished. Within hours of Tesla's death, US government agents swooped in, seizing boxes of papers and lab notebooks. Rumors swirled about what these documents contained. Was there a blueprint for the infamous death ray? Could these missing papers hold the key to wireless energy, advanced weaponry, or something even more revolutionary? Some believe they were deliberately hidden to protect existing power structures. Though some documents were eventually released, many remain classified or lost. Some believe these papers contain knowledge that powerful figures deemed too dangerous for the public to know. For years, Tesla's name faded, his achievements overshadowed by Edison, Marconi, and others. His ideas were relegated to obscurity, until recently. A surge in interest around free energy, renewable tech, and once dubious theories has reignited Tesla's name, placing him back in the pantheon of innovation. Today, Tesla's name adorns electric cars, and his ideas fuel debates about renewable energy and technological suppression. His genius is finally recognized, but the mysteries surrounding his life and work continue to provoke fierce debate. Was he silenced for being too visionary or too disruptive to the status quo? In the gaps of his story lie questions and suspicions that continue to spark fierce debate. Was Tesla silenced for being too ahead of his time, or too dangerous to those in power? And here's the thing. Sometimes conspiracy theories turn out to be true. MK Ultra, once dismissed as paranoia, is now a documented fact. The Free Britney movement exposed modern-day exploitation and control. So, when it comes to Nikola Tesla, his wireless energy dream, his mysterious death, and the missing papers, are we looking at a misunderstood genius or a victim of deliberate suppression? Now his name has become synonymous with innovation and untapped potential. Just like electricity, the truth isn't as easy to control as some would have us believe. Maybe the truth about Nikola Tesla is as electrifying and dangerous as his inventions. We dive into the murky underbelly of the entertainment industry, where mind control, coercion, and manipulation seem to echo the darkest days of the past. But is it possible that the infamous MK Ultra program is only part of the puzzle? Could the legacy of Hollywood's golden age, an era known for control and scandal, be alive and thriving in a modern form? Tonight, we'll uncover how the same power structures that once ruled the golden age of Hollywood may still be in play today. Studio fixers, scandals, and threats were once used to maintain control over stars during Hollywood's heyday. And while the players may have changed, the game remains much the same. In the golden age of Hollywood, the major studios, MGM, Warner Bros., Paramount, and others, ruled with an iron fist. Actors and actresses were often bound to long-term contracts that left them at the mercy of studio heads. The stars lived glamorous lives, but behind the glitz, many were trapped, controlled, and manipulated by powerful men who ran the industry. These stars were carefully crafted products, their images controlled and protected by ruthless studio fixers like Eddie Mannix, who worked tirelessly to cover up scandals that could tarnish the reputations of the studios. Drug problems, affairs, and even deaths were swept under the rug to preserve the illusion of perfection. But what many didn't know was that behind closed doors, stars were often coerced, threatened, and forced into compliance, whether it was through blackmail, intimidation, or worse. Take the tragic case of Judy Garland, for example. She was a beloved child star, but behind the scenes, she was fed amphetamines to keep her energetic on set and sleeping pills to knock her out at night. She was controlled and manipulated by studio heads who saw her as little more than a moneymaker, with little regard for her mental or physical well-being. Fast forward to today, and some believe the studio system never truly died. While the rigid contract system of old Hollywood may be gone, the entertainment industry still holds immense power over its stars, just in more subtle, insidious ways. Celebrities who seem to have it all may be pawns in a game of control and manipulation, where they are groomed, coerced, and silenced by powerful entities behind the scenes. We've already explored how Kanye West, Britney Spears, and others have hinted at unseen forces controlling their lives and careers. But in many ways, this echoes the control that stars like Marilyn Monroe and Rock Hudson faced during the Golden Age. The difference is, today's fixers may not be studio employees. They could be powerful agents, handlers, or even covert organizations who have taken over the role once held by studio executives. In old Hollywood, fixers like Eddie Mannix or Howard Strickling handled the dirty work, arranging payoffs, threats, or even disappearances to keep stars in line. Mannix, for instance, was rumored to have been involved in covering up everything from accidental deaths to illicit affairs. It was a world of shadows, where the studio's reputation mattered more than the lives it affected. Today, the fixers may have changed, but the methods are strikingly similar. Celebrities who speak out about their mistreatment often face legal battles, smear campaigns, or threats to their safety. Kanye West, for instance, has mentioned being forced into mental health facilities against his will, while Britney Spears was kept under a conservatorship for over a decade. Amanda Bynes has hinted at similar levels of control, while Dave Chappelle famously walked away from a $50 million deal, later suggesting that there were darker forces at play. From Marilyn Monroe to Lindsay Lohan, the entertainment industry has a long history of controlling its stars through fear, coercion, and blackmail. During Monroe's career, it was rumored that she was under constant surveillance by powerful figures in Hollywood, and even by government agencies. Her untimely death is still shrouded in mystery, with many believing she knew too much about those in power. In the years since, countless celebrities have struggled to maintain control over their own lives, falling victim to the same patterns of manipulation and coercion that haunted the stars of the past. The rise of social media has only intensified this power dynamic, giving powerful players new tools to manipulate public perception and silence those who attempt to break free. What's truly chilling is that those who attempt to escape this control often find themselves facing ruin. Kanye West's outspoken nature has led to him being dismissed as mentally ill by many. But is it possible he is simply resisting the same control mechanisms that held Judy Garland and Marilyn Monroe captive? Britney Spears' struggle to escape her conservatorship was met with fierce legal resistance, even as her fans rallied to her defense. And let's not forget, the Free Britney movement started as a conspiracy theory. At first, it seemed impossible to believe that a global pop star could be held against her will for over a decade. But the truth behind her conservatorship shocked the world. It was a stark reminder that sometimes conspiracy theories turn out to be more than just theories. Just as we've seen with the infamous MKUltra program, which was once dismissed as outlandish paranoia, later proven to be a horrifying reality. The entertainment industry is a high-stakes game, where careers can be made or broken overnight. And those who don't play by the rules set by the unseen powers that run Hollywood, often find themselves silenced, smeared, or worse. Is the studio system of control really dead? Or has it simply evolved into a new, more sophisticated machine? One that uses mental health diagnoses, legal systems, and media manipulation to keep stars in line. The parallels between old Hollywood and today's entertainment industry are impossible to ignore. Some stories in the entertainment world often feel stranger than fiction. Fame, fortune, and tortured creativity. But behind the glittering surface lies a darker truth. We peel back the curtain on one of the music industry's most chilling secrets, the death clause. The idea that an artist can be worth more dead than alive. This is the story of contracts, catalogs, and conspiracies. From posthumous album sales to skyrocketing streaming numbers, the death of a musician often brings unparalleled profit. But are these just unfortunate coincidences, or is there a more sinister hand at play? Michael Jackson, the king of pop, remains one of the most iconic figures in music history, but his influence extended far beyond his own songs. In 1985, Jackson made a business move that changed the music industry forever. He purchased the ATV music catalog, which included the rights to hundreds of songs by the Beatles. This move, though brilliant, made Jackson a target. The catalog's value was immense, and the power it represented was undeniable. By the mid-2000s, Financial troubles led Jackson to sell a 50% stake to Sony, but rumors swirled about pressure and coercion behind the scenes. Then, in 2009, Jackson's sudden death brought the world to a standstill. But in the wake of his passing, something remarkable happened. His estate earned more than $2 billion in the following decade, with renewed interest in his music and merchandise. The Beatles catalog, now entirely controlled by Sony. George Michael was more than a pop star. He was a revolutionary. In the 1990s, he famously battled Sony Music in a lawsuit, accusing the label of exploiting artists and locking them into restrictive contracts. Michael's fight for freedom made him a pariah in the industry. Though he ultimately lost the lawsuit, his criticisms of the music business resonated deeply. By the time of his death in 2016, he had regained control of much of his work, but not before a series of financial disputes and allegations of pressure from former managers. After his death, Michael's music sales surged, and unreleased material became a goldmine for his estate. Some wondered if his refusal to play by industry rules ultimately cost him more than his career. In the digital era, the economics of music shifted. Streaming platforms became the new record stores, and posthumous releases became some of the industry's most lucrative ventures. Enter Gustav Orr, better known as a Little Peep. Peep, a rising star in the emo rap scene, tragically died of an accidental overdose in 2017 at just 21 years old. But in the years since his death, Peep's music has exploded in popularity, with posthumous albums, documentaries, and merchandise generating millions. Some fans and critics argue that the industry capitalized on his death, releasing unfinished music and profiting from a persona frozen in time. Was this a tribute to an artist gone too soon? Or a calculated move to maximize earnings? The idea of a death clause isn't just urban legend. Many artist contracts include stipulations about how their estate and work will be managed after their death, ensuring the labels maintain absolute control. And history shows that the deaths of high-profile artists often lead to record profits. Prince's estate generated massive earnings following his death in 2016, with unreleased vault material becoming a treasure trove. Whitney Houston's music skyrocketed in popularity after her tragic passing in 2012. Even Kurt Cobain's legacy continues to generate millions annually, with Nirvana's music cemented in rock history. Artists like Jimi Hendrix, Tupac Shakur, and Amy Winehouse left behind legacies that only grew in value after their deaths. But at what cost? The pressures of fame, relentless schedules, and controlling contracts have long been criticized for driving artists to breaking points. And here's where the conspiracy deepens. Are these tragedies mere accidents, or is there a system in place, one that sees the death of an artist as a financial windfall rather than a loss? The questions are uncomfortable, but the numbers don't lie. In the music business, death can sometimes be the most lucrative career move of all. So, when it comes to the music industry and the death clause, perhaps we should be asking, how far would those in power go to protect their profits? Suppose an artist is no longer playing ball with the label or simply no longer popular enough to recoup the invested profits. Could a decision conceivably be made to cash in post-tragedy? If so, are these familiar events as accidental as they seem? Because in an industry built on contracts, control, and image, the truth might be stranger and darker than fiction. After all, in music, as in life, sometimes the hits keep coming, even after the artist is gone. Staged deaths, clandestine record execs plotting to recoup their investment. Phantom footsteps. Objects moving on their own. Eerie glimpses of shadowy figures. For centuries, humans have tried to explain the unexplainable. Ghosts, poltergeists, and other paranormal phenomena have been attributed to spirits, alternate dimensions, or even mass hysteria. But what if we've been looking in the wrong place? What if these hauntings aren't echoes of the past, but ripples from the future? Could paranormal anomalies be the unintended consequences of time travel? Time travel, a staple of science fiction, but for some, a chilling possibility. The theory goes like this. When someone manipulates time, they disturb the natural flow of reality. These disturbances manifest as anomalies. objects appearing or disappearing, distorted sounds, and even entities that don't belong in our timeline. Einstein's theory of relativity opened the door to time travel being more than just fantasy. If time is a dimension, like space, could advanced technology allow us to traverse it? And if so, what would happen to the fabric of reality when someone, or something, travels through it? This brings us to the Montauk Project, one of the most controversial and enduring conspiracy theories tied to time travel. Allegedly based at Camp Hero on Long Island, New York, the Montauk Project is said to have been a secret government initiative that began in the late 20th century. Its purported goal? To explore the manipulation of time, space, and consciousness itself. Accounts from alleged whistleblowers, including Preston Nichols and Al Bielek, paint a picture of a sprawling operation involving experiments on human subjects, psychic abilities, and the creation of temporal portals. One particularly unsettling claim is that these portals inadvertently caused ripples in spacetime, resulting in unexplained phenomena that spread far beyond the project's walls. There were things they couldn't explain, shadows where there shouldn't be, objects that appeared to move on their own, even voices coming from empty rooms. They were told not to question it, but couldn't shake the feeling they were tearing holes in something they had yet to understand. One of the alleged precursors to the Montauk Project is the infamous Philadelphia experiment. Supposedly conducted by the US Navy in 1943, this experiment aimed to render a warship invisible to radar. But according to conspiracy theorists, it went horribly wrong. The story goes that the ship not only vanished, but also traveled through time. When it reappeared, some crew members were fused into the ship's structure, while others claimed to have experienced bizarre side effects, including sightings of shadowy figures that haunted them for the rest of their lives. Now, let's connect the dots. If time travel creates disturbances in space-time, could it also explain paranormal phenomena? Shadow figures could be time travelers caught in a glitch, visible only momentarily. Objects moving on their own? Perhaps they're being manipulated by someone, or something, interacting with our timeline from another point in time. Some physicists suggest that experiments like those conducted at CERN could accidentally create miniature black holes or distortions in spacetime. These distortions, they argue, might manifest as what we perceive as hauntings or poltergeist activity. Not all paranormal anomalies fit neatly into the time travel theory. Some suggest these ghosts aren't travelers but imprints, echoes left behind by time manipulation. When spacetime is bent, it might replay fragments of past events, like a skipping record. What we see as hauntings could be these residual glitches in the timeline. The Montauk Project allegedly didn't stop at time manipulation. Some claim it extended into psychological warfare, mind control, and interdimensional travel. And if these experiments disrupted spacetime, could the resulting anomalies account for the paranormal phenomena reported worldwide? Shadowy figures, objects moving on their own, and other strange occurrences might not be hauntings, but the side effects of tampering with reality itself. And if the government has truly mastered time travel, what are the implications? Could their experiments be causing more harm than good, creating the very anomalies they're trying to study? Or worse, concealing them from the public? So, are paranormal anomalies just the echoes of the past, or warnings from the future? Are ghost sightings, poltergeist activity, and strange phenomena the accidental byproducts of time travel? And what role, if any, does the Montauk Project play in this global mystery? Time travel, government secrets, and unexplained phenomena. Staged hauntings, glitches in reality, or just plain weird as fuck. Whatever the truth, one thing's for certain. Reality may not be as fixed as we think, and the spirits we believe are masquerading as our loved ones may be something more sinister. A Netflix docuseries, a best-selling true crime book, a podcast with millions of downloads breaking down every detail of a gruesome murder. Somewhere along the way, crime became entertainment. And not just any crime, real victims, real killers, and sometimes real sympathy for the murderers themselves. But where did this obsession start? Was it the O.J. Simpson trial? Was it something buried deep in human nature? Or, just maybe, is this all by design? Before making a murderer, before Serial, before the endless true crime YouTube channels, there was O.J. Simpson. In 1994, the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman captivated America. But this wasn't just another crime. It was the crime. A media circus. A reality show before reality TV even existed. The case had everything. A fallen hero, racial tensions, celebrity culture, and an entire nation choosing sides. And what happened next? America didn't just watch, it bought in. The O.J. trial wasn't just a legal battle, it was an industry. From free O.J. shirts to dolls of the prosecution team, the case became a product. And it sold. Big time. But it wasn't just O.J. People wanted memorabilia from any high-profile murder case. Jeffrey Dahmer's glasses, Charles Manson's letters, even Ted Bundy fan club shirts started showing up. When did we stop fearing killers and start treating them like rock stars? True crime isn't just about justice anymore. It's about fandom. People pick their favorite cases, their favorite characters, and even their favorite murderers. But why? Why are people drawn to killers? Is it psychological? A fascination with evil? Or is something else happening here? Bundy, Dahmer, the Night Stalker. Even back in the 70s and 80s, these killers had groupies, women writing them letters, showing up to court, obsessed. But the internet took it to another level. When Netflix released Dahmer, it wasn't long before TikTok was filled with edits of Evan Peters playing the killer, set to pop music. The same thing happened with Zac Efron's extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile, where some fans swooned over his portrayal of Ted Bundy. But it's not just serial killers anymore. Every high-profile trial becomes a spectacle. People take sides, they make memes, they argue online like it's a reality show. Case in point, the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial. Even though it wasn't a murder case, people treated it like an entertainment event. Live streams, commentary, people cheering in court. Did we cross a line? Here's the big question. Why is this happening? Why is true crime more popular than ever? Is it just curiosity, or is something deeper going on? Some argue that constant exposure to violence, on TV, in movies, in games, has desensitized us. If we see enough murder, enough death, we stop reacting to it. We start seeing it as just another story. Think about it. The more we normalize crime and killers, the less shocking real violence becomes. And if we become numb to it, does that make it easier for those in power to justify more violence, whether it's war, police brutality, or corporate negligence? Not everyone is comfortable with this trend. Some victims' families have spoken out, saying that true crime fans treat their trauma like entertainment. Some cases even get solved by online sleuths. But at what cost? And then there's the issue of money. True crime is big business. Streaming platforms, book publishers, podcasters, they all profit from murder. But who really benefits? Because while you're binge-watching the latest true crime doc, somewhere, another real crime is happening. And chances are, no one's paying attention to that one. So what is it? A harmless curiosity? A way to process fear? Or something more disturbing? Is our obsession with crime making us more informed or more accepting? And if we've reached a point where murder is just another form of entertainment, what does that say about us? One thing we can say with certainty is that over the last few years, true crime is no longer just about justice. It's about entertainment, participation, and maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what they want. Murder merch, TikTok sleuths, the rise of armchair detectives ruining lives with a tidal wave of information for the greater good, or just plain weird as fuck. Imagine being a ghost, knowing who killed you, yet watching helplessly as the living bumble through their investigation. But some spirits don't just float around. They roll up their sleeves and get to work solving their own murders. Let's dive into some cases where the dead outsmarted the living. In 1897, Elva Shue of West Virginia was found dead, her body suspiciously positioned at the foot of the stairs. Her husband, Edward, acted strangely, obsessively guarding her neck from inspection. Despite this, her death was initially ruled natural. But Elva's mother, Mary Jane Heaster, wasn't buying it. Elva's ghost reportedly visited Mary Jane, revealing that Edward had killed her. Determined, Mary Jane convinced the local prosecutor to reopen the case, leading to the exhumation of Elva's body, where it was confirmed her neck had been broken. Even more shocking, the ghostly testimony was allowed in court, helping to convict Edward. The Greenbrier ghost remains one of the only cases where a ghost's testimony led to a murder conviction. Lieutenant Desmond Arthur died in a plane crash in 1913, but his spirit couldn't rest. Pilots at Montrose Air Base in Scotland began reporting strange encounters with a ghostly figure, right as an investigation blamed Arthur for the crash. Believing the ghost was Arthur, seeking to clear his name, a second investigation was launched. It revealed a mechanical failure, not pilot error, caused the crash. After this, Arthur's ghost appeared one last time, seemingly at peace. The story became a part of Montrose's haunted history. In 2010, Australian psychic Cheryl Carroll Lagerwey had a dream about the location of a missing child's body. But when she went to investigate, she found something else. A woman's decomposed torso. The body belonged to Christy McDougall, who had been murdered by her boyfriend. Though unrelated to her original vision, this grisly discovery led to the killer's arrest. Despite the outcome, the police remained skeptical of psychic powers. In 1827, Maria Martin was set to elope with William Corder, but she vanished after meeting him at the Red Barn in Suffolk, England. Corder fled town, spinning excuses, but Maria's stepmother had troubling dreams of her being buried in that barn. Her hunch led to Maria's body being discovered in the barn, and Corder was quickly arrested and executed. The Red Barn became infamous, with pieces of it, and even Corder's skeleton, being taken as macabre souvenirs. In 1977, Teresita Bassa was murdered in her Chicago apartment. The case went cold until a woman named Remy Chua claimed to be possessed by Bassa's spirit, revealing the identity of her killer, Alan Showery. Skeptical detectives followed the lead, finding Bassa's jewelry in Showery's apartment. The evidence was enough to secure a conviction, though the mystery of how Remy knew remains unsolved. And finally, in 2017, multiple murderers claimed they were haunted by their victims until they confessed. Whether driven by guilt or something more sinister, these chilling confessions prove that sometimes the dead don't rest until justice is served. One thing is clear, whether through dreams, possessions, or haunting guilt, these victims found a way to make their voices heard, even from beyond the grave, proving themselves to better detectives than the living. And that is weird as fuck.